Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Daily Balm. That's what we call our 12 Principles evening program, where we interview experts and persons with long-term recovery experience. Tonight, we have both. We have Donna Wolfe and her students who are persons in recovery in their own right. And what they're doing really goes well with tonight's principle, which is keeping your focus on yourself and off of others will help you both. So if we're telling the story of the fifth principle from the perspective of a family member, we learn in the Balm to allow our loved ones their journey. It's a funny word, allow. They have their journey, whether we allow it or not, right? We can't control it, but yet we want to make it as good as it can be. We don't get to. What we get to do is contribute to it being as good as it can be and be there as the journey unfolds. For the loved one, Principle 5 is about taking control of your own journey as an individual in recovery. And there are different times when this is more difficult, less difficult. We say in the Balm that if each person is focused on their own journey, if the family member focuses on their own journey and the loved one focuses on their own journey, things will be so much better for each of them and for the family as a whole. And Principle 5 is filled with really good tools and techniques to be able to do that. This evening, we're here with a group of people who are utilizing phenomenal tools and techniques to move their lives forward in recovery under the tutelage of Donna Wolfe. Donna Wolfe is a person in I was going to say very long-term recovery, who has made it her life's mission to help people in early recovery find their career path, either for the first time or to reconnect with the old career path or a new one. Her methods are remarkable, and we have 3 young men here this evening who have taken advantage of what she's taught them and are moving their lives forward in beautiful ways. I'm going to let Donna tell us what she does and let her take everything from here. And I won't even come back into the conversation until it's time for Q&A. So go ahead, Donna. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Beverly. And I'm so thrilled to be here partnering and working with the Balm. It's such an impressive movement, and the world needs you so badly. And I want to say that when I was alerted to, Balm and its mission, I was so impressed, and I never have lost one single moment of respect for you and the work that you do. I am so grateful to be able to say that I have helped some of your clients along the way in new recovery. And that's what I love to do. And that's what I do. Actually, the nurturing of the resilience of the actual person is my goal. And I do that by shepherding people that are in new recovery into the world, back into the world. I think that when I have a client who's brand new, they're usually so stunned because the transformation is just beginning to get to be a reality. And they're really not sure of what to do. They have an idea of what they're supposed to do, but I like to zip right in while they're malleable and offer them 3 different paths. And one of the paths is, this is a vocation-based program. So I will go into personal public relations first, talk about the principle and not focusing on someone else, but focusing on oneself. Many of the clients in my demographic have benefactors and families that care very much about them, but because some of them don't have access to BOM, the pressure of these young people, and typically they're young, is so great that they want to perform for others. And so the redirection of keeping the focus on oneself while you are loving a BOM principle, very loving to the family, your family, and whomever it is. If it's a spouse that's supporting you, or a mother or a grandmother, or God knows what, that's supporting you in your journey and has done everything to help you get there, one wants to report the positive things that one does. So the first thing to do really is to understand that language really counts, and to go out into the world, whether it be to your family, or whether it be to your employer, or whether it be to a college admissions office. One wants to be able to have strong personal public relations, which means we have to start at the very beginning. So I like to say that we straddle all aspects of sobriety. We stretch ourselves to our limits, and yet we keep it very simple. You know, we are very focused on oneself, and yet we're encouraged to reach out to others, and to work for others, and to work with others, and connect, because connection is the answer to sobriety, really. And then there's be consistent and be loving, and admit the fact that we are powerless in this moment, and not try to fight our substance abuse disorder, if that's what it is we're working with. So in order to do this, I have all these little things that we do. We work together as a team to understand our own powerlessness, understand what it is that's really good and salvageable and can be worked upon, and basically to pursue our dreams and find out if they're feasible, and find out how other people in recovery behave in the real world. So I call that sober successes, and I have 500 or more, probably, if I actually kept a look at my file, I probably have more today, of people who are actually out there in the world, as we like to say, chopping the wood, carrying the water, just doing the job, doing what's in front of them, but in all walks of life. So sometimes I'll have somebody who is, let's just say, a judge that doesn't want to go back into law. And I'll have somebody who's, you know, a healthcare professional, but really is happy walking dogs, you know. But then I also have healthcare professionals that used to be dog walkers. So there's all different kinds of people I have in my, thank God, what can I call it, a ken, as Kurt Vonnegut used to say, my people that I met because I'm a sober woman. And I actually am a nosy sober woman. So I'm always asking somebody, how did you get where you are? You know, what would you have done differently? How did you get there? And may I ask you to speak to one of my clients about the thing that you love and do with passion? So these three gentlemen who are on my panel are all recipients of everything I had to give, which is helping them with resumes and taking a look at what we can do in tiny steps, and organizing their time. And it's actually been incredible payoff for these three gentlemen. I'm going to introduce them at once and then individually. I have Christian Santilli, and then James Garfola, and Adam Berlino. These are three of my quote graduates, although some I'm still working with, and I'm proud to say that. First, I would like to introduce Christian first. Christian is not only my client, but is now a colleague of mine. I work at 3 sober houses in and around the Boston area. These are sober living establishments, and they have an embrace where they're very protective and yet very encouraging. It's an unbelievably great recipe. I'm very lucky to have these houses, and one house is being run by Christian, Tharo's house. And I'd like him to say a few words about his, actually, I wanted him, if he wouldn't mind, to touch on passion and open-mindedness. Christian.
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much, Beverly, and thank you, Donna, for introducing me. Not only introducing me, she also introduced me to my wife. So there are a number of ways in which Donna has played a part in my life. Not to mention, she then officiated my wedding. So there's many ways to talking about passion. Yeah. So when I met Donna, I was 24 years old. I was an actor, and I met her. I was fresh out of rehab. I had been in rehab for about 2 months, and when I got out, I was pretty much raring to go. I was somebody who had relied on my own counsel for a very long time, and it had gotten me pretty far in life. I'd gotten to a point where that counsel was no longer getting me where I wanted to go, but I was not really ready to admit that I didn't have all the answers yet. And when I met Donna, I told her, listen, we can talk, we can chit chat, but I'm moving to New York soon. I'm not going to be here very long. So, there's really not much work we can do together, and I'll be going pretty soon. And she looked at me and she said, "Are you going to New York tomorrow?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Then I have something for you to do tomorrow." And that kind of got me started on this journey of small steps, getting to a place where I was willing to take the little steps that would get me where I want to go. Because for a long time, I had this passion for acting. I had gone to school for it. I was in the industry to a certain degree, but I was waiting for my life to start, really. I kept sitting there waiting. My passion for this thing was overwhelming. I held it so closely and I held it so preciously that I was scared to make a misstep. I was scared to take a step that wasn't going to be the right step. And because of that, I was paralyzed. And Donna really got me to a place where I was able to sort of sit back and finally take a little bit of direction, which was, what are you going to do today? What actionable step are you going to take in this moment that is going to get you closer to where you at least think you want to go? And inside of that, Donna said a second thing to me, I think in the first meeting, where she looked at me and she said, your life will be beyond your wildest dreams and it will look nothing the way that you thought it would. And when she said that, my head started screaming. I was terrified of that statement because I'd had this singular focus for my entire life. The past, since I had begun to believe that I had any kind of a career path, it had been a singular focus of, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to be famous. These are the things that are going to happen. And anything that deters me from that is a threat. And when she said that it would look nothing the way I thought it would, I was like, no, you don't get to take this away from me. And I can here to say that, 6 years later, I could not be happier that she was right. I have a life that is beyond my wildest dreams, and it looks nothing the way that I thought it would. I took a very different path. I found for myself that the career that I was pursuing, the passion I was pursuing, I had picked at a time in my life where I never thought I was going to be happy. And I thought I had to find something that was going to work with misery. And acting worked really well with misery. It was something that I could do and be miserable, and people heaped praise on me and gave me awards. And finding a little bit more about happiness and finding out that there was a different way that I could live, it wasn't lining up so much with what I had enmeshed and entangled so many things with that career path that it was really difficult for me to untangle them. And when she started introducing me to different people and I started realizing that there was a possibility that there might be a different path I could take, I had convinced myself that there was no other path for me. than this one path, because if I thought there was any other path, then maybe I would mess this one up. And little by little, she helped me take these actionable steps that got me to a place of realizing that my life could maybe be bigger than I thought it could be, that I might have more to offer and more to give than I thought I could. And what I ended up finding for myself was there was something I loved about acting, and it was people. It was people, and it was looking at and figuring out why people do the things they do and why they are the way they are and what's going on with them. And to be honest with you, I thought I would regret, if I ever left acting, I thought I would regret it for the rest of my life. And it was a difficult decision, but since deciding to take a different path, I barely think about it. And I don't say that in a bad way. I say that not in the way that I'm repressing it. I use my acting training and everything and what I do every single day. It is all applicable to my life now, but I use it in a very different way. Just to wrap up for a second, to talk about passion, one of the things that I loved about acting was that it was the greatest drug that I ever took. Validation from strangers was the most amazing thing I've ever felt in my entire life. And if I was lucky, maybe once, twice, maybe 3 times a year, I got to be in this place where I was with other people and I felt like something really changed. I felt like people changed. I felt like something was different after a performance. In the work that I do now, I get that 3 times a week. And what I found was that thing that I really wanted was in the connection with the other people across from me. And, through taking these little steps and really getting back to this place where I was able to sort of minutely find out what actually doing this thing and doing these things piece by piece looked like, I was able to find where that real passion was. So that's what I got, and I'll be happy to take questions later. But Donna, thank you for having me.
Kristen, thank you so much. I want to let everybody know that Christian cannot totally stifle his acting talent, and anyone who works with him knows that he will spring into character, strange and unusual characters at the drop of a hat to make his point. So there's always that, he didn't ditch his talent. He just uses it in a different constructive way. I also am so happy to hear that Christian talked about how he became open-minded. And the other day, he actually said to me, I was willing to see that I was limiting myself. And I love that statement. And I just wanted to reiterate it. The process of embarking on a sober journey, is so out of our hands. It's not something we do. It's something we become available to have happen. And yet when the time comes, we have to pick up our tools and get cracking. And I want to say that Adam Bertolino was a person who was ready to go. When I met him, he had his sleeves rolled up and he was ready to work. And that, all 3 of these gentlemen have a crucial element of willingness, and open-mindedness. And it didn't come very easily to any of them. But Adam, when I met him, he had is willing to try a new way. So Adam, tell us about yourself. Unmute first.
Hello, my name's Adam. I wake up and I pray and I meditate. I make my bed. I take my heartburn pill. And then I go about my day. I come home and I have some type of meeting and I review my day and I write it down and I send that to Donna every night because she was receptive to get it. And I'm extremely detailed and honest when it comes to my nightly. I don't want to appear or get sympathy or anything. I want straight words, and that's what Donna gives me back because she knows I'm receptive to that. every day is the same in that way for me. Sometimes I see my children, sometimes I work. The middle of the day fluctuates. But all day I use some of the tools and attitudes and thoughts that I have picked up from Donna. And I meet Donna every week still, because she is the most influential person in my life. She's the most trusted person. And I go to therapy with her, and I found a great therapist. I have a relationship coach, I have a sponsor, and Donna knowing me and paying attention to me as an individual. Anything that comes up with my therapist, my sponsor, or anybody else, Donna comes to me with the same answer or the same suggestion in a different way, or points out the behavior that I'm having, or the attitude, or the self-pity, or whatever you want to call it, at the same time as all these other people. And usually first. And it's amazing to me that she knows me better than anyone.
Oh my gosh.
I would like to say that I still don't know what I want to do. I still don't know what I like. I still don't know what's good for me. I, for example, will sometimes wake up with my 4-year-old and it's like 4:35 in the morning and she's, Daddy, let's get up and play. And for a while, you know, I would want to sleep and I would say, oh, she just watch a movie or something, but I wouldn't really get sleep, right? So why wouldn't I just get up and play with her? I'm really not going to pass back out. So that's like a microcosm for my life, that I don't know what I want to do and that I don't know what's good for me. Because when I get up and I play with my daughter, we have a great day. It starts out amazing. She's pumped, you know, and so am I. If I don't, then I just feel like, why didn't I get up earlier? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? And to compare that to when I met Donna, her service was offered at the place that I was sober living after treatment. And I really just did it because I was used to saying yes. And I really wasn't sure what the service was. And my mom was helping me at the time, and she said, you should try this. And when I first started to work with Donna, she gave me some like homework, these questions to answer. And it seemed like a lot of the other things I was doing, like at first, I didn't really understand, but I answered them honestly. And then she took these homework assignments every week and detailed and explained how she was going to use the answers and structure my life, not my career, not getting a job, not my family, not my kids, my life. So like everything. And when she asked the question, like, what do you want to do? What do you like? And when I said, I don't know, there was no sigh. There was no, oh, there was none of that shit that you get from, like, you know, your mom, your grandmother, your uncle, your boss, none of that. Okay. And boom, right into the next thing she was saying. And I have wanted to say yes to everything that was safe to me, or at least considered saying yes to everything since I went to treatment, because I don't really, again, know what's good for me. You know, I thought I was ready to go home after 2-3 weeks. I'm the man, you know, and I now go to UMass Boston for counseling. I've got a certification in recovery coaching. I looking at a prospective new job that a job landed in my lap from just taking these classes. And I went on the interview, and the interview was for kind of shits and giggles. it really wasn't to get the job. You know, I was like, I'm not really going to want to work here. I don't know if I want to be in recovery, but I do all this recovery stuff for recovery, school, and still deal with basically taking class after class. And I go for the interview, and they tell me they want to give me the job. And I talked to Donna, and I said, Donna, I need to make at least this much money. And she was like, that's not what they pay in that field. And I said, yeah, I know. I said, well, she goes, well, do what you got to do. You just went on the interview. You didn't even think you're going to take the job. I give them this number, and they take it. They're like, okay. And they give me the job. So I take the job. Now the job, I don't have my license yet. And it's half the walk from my house, a brand new recovery center on this island I live in Gloucester, where there's like nothing like that. They just build this place, and it's not even structured yet. And now I structured the place, the majority of it. And my office mate like says it to me all the time. You really you're doing everything here. And I'm taking the experience that I've had of being, I was a engineer for excavation. I ran construction crews. I ran kitchens. And Donna was like, well, just take one little thing at a time, Adam. Because I'm like, what am I supposed to do in here? I go in the first few days or weeks, and the place isn't structured. It's like, I'm not in there doing some job that was laid out for me and trying to do it better. There was nothing. It was like if we just said, hey, let's start an investment company. And what are we going to invest in? I don't know. What are we going to do? I don't know. That's what was going on in this place. So I just took everything the way Donna structured me, just getting a job, seeing my children, going to school for, what are you interested in? I don't know what, but I love doing recovery. It's changed my life. Well, then go to school for that. Just, and that's what happened. And now there's another job. I just got offered to be the director of a place. And at first I'm like, that seems like a lot. And then I'm like, I think that's what I'm doing already. I don't even know. I don't think it's even any different. And I don't know if I want to do that. I'm going to go to this interview not knowing if I want the job. That's my thing that I do in interviews now. I don't know. Why do you want? I don't know. Well, why would you want to work here? I don't know. They love it because I'm just being honest. But when it comes to the point of, what do you think you can do for us? Thanks to Donna, I have this barrage that comes out of me with detail and backup. And basically, I just tell them, whatever you have that you need me to do, I will do it to the best of my ability. And I know that my ability is that I can do the best out of anyone that you have. I've no doubt in my mind what I'm able to do. And I basically tell them in these words, I'm the man. And I can say that, and it doesn't seem right, but I can say it with humility because I know what I'm able to do. And I know that everything is one task at a time, one step at a time. So I can have this vision, but what step can I take? What's the next right thing to do? And Donna showed me that it's not just about recovery. What's the next right thing? It's not just about spirituality. It's not just about your kids or anything. You just do the next right thing and do it well. Next thing will pop up, and it will be easy. Because when you build your structure, you start at the bottom, you make a nice, easy decision and do a nice, easy task. So I might not know what I want to do, but I do know what Donna has done for me and does for me. And I can say that it's difficult, I think, for support that's around us, like say family or something at first, to actually understand what's going on. If a client's working with Donna and they're looking for this like result, and it's hard for them maybe to see because Donna is like, every time my mom would ask me, oh, so how are things going with Donna? And I'm like, oh, it's amazing. I'm like, I love it. Like, it's amazing. Oh, do you have a job yet? No. No. well, what are you guys doing? I'm like, well, I go, honestly, she does more with me than my therapist, my sponsor, anybody. Oh, okay.
Adam.
Yeah, great. And then all of a sudden things just go bam, 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 because I've been setting up every structure of my life, like family wise, kid wise, school wise, job wise. And it's like the synchronicity falls into place very quickly. At least it. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Oh my gosh, too much. I have to say, it's just so thrilling to have speakers with lived experience that are so different one from the other. And I want to underscore the idea that I say all the time, and I'm sure you gentlemen say it too, that self-esteem comes from esteemable action. That's it. There is no other way to build it up. You can call it what you will, but doing the right thing one day at a time, and knowing that when you're saying, what can I do? You do the next right thing, whether it's making your bed or brushing your teeth or praying or calling your mom or whatever it is, it's the next right thing. And those things just build up like one pearl at a time until you have a necklace, So I am grateful to you both, gentlemen. Thank you. And I want to introduce James. There's a long history with James. James has been in 2 of the houses that I work with, and was the youngest client I had ever had when I met him. And I have to say that his progress has resulted in like stretch marks of his brain. Like he has just gone catapulting forward. And I'm grateful to have him join us tonight because he is a great example of learning organization skills and time management. And James, why don't you take it away?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Donna. Firstly, I'd like to express my gratitude for you selecting me to be on this. I'm very honored that I got to speak alongside 2 people that I respect quite a bit. And also thank you, Beverly, for hosting all of this. And I think you made a very good choice with your speaker of Donna as well. So good choices all around. Good decision, everyone. So I guess, so Donna, she said she's a vocational coach, and like, I think of that traditionally as like, training to get a job and the workforce and all of that. But I think it clearly, she affects every single part of my life. Like there's not a single thing that I'm doing. Pretty sure there's not a single thing that I have in my life today that she didn't in some way share an opinion or a thought or give me a little bit of helpful feedback that kind of directed the way I went with that, whatever the endeavor was, whether it be like working out. Like I work out with a trainer, and I remember there was a long time where she was pushing me to do that, and eventually I did it. And like, and that's the other thing that Adam was just saying, like it's not immediate. Like she's doing work undergrounds, and eventually like a plant will sprout, but she's just planting the seeds, and it takes a little bit. So yeah, the idea that like just wait, it'll happen. That's definitely true in my experience. So I guess like the best way to really like express what Donna has done for me is to like show the difference between like before I met her and like now. So I guess, so when I first met her, I was a teenager. I had just come out of 4 months of treatment in Connecticut. I had 1 lifeguarding job on my resume. I had just gotten kicked out of school where I had essentially 0 credits. And I had no skills. I wasn't a functioning human. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to make a schedule. I didn't know how to get work done, meet a deadline. I didn't know how to, I didn't know what I wanted to do or where my life was going to go, because at that point, I didn't think I knew I didn't have any skills, and I felt that way. And I was aware of my lack of, life experience. So, and I just remember with that lifeguarding job on my resume, she used some words that like she gave me a little bit of a boost of confidence that was necessary. She said that like I had to be prepared. Like I had to have the batteries and the blowhorn at my lifeguarding job, and I had to be risk manager. She always used that one. I had to be a risk manager, and it was like and that was all like stuff that I didn't see about myself while I was doing that job, or even after, until like she brought it out. And I think still to this day, it was mostly just to give me a little bit of confidence so that I could go out and like, but it had a purpose. And I ended up, so I still, at that point, I still had no idea what I wanted to do at all. I thought I liked kids because I taught swimming lessons a little bit, and you know, that was all I had. So I remember she sent me to all of these different people. There was a guy who worked at Trader Joe's that she sent me to, that I met, to like multiple social workers, because at that time that was kind of what I thought I might want to do, but I didn't really know. And she sent me to a psychologist that works with family-owned businesses when they're passing it down from the father to the son, which is just like a very strange niche thing. But all of these people were like played an integral part in me deciding what my path was going to be. Even like the guy at Trader Joe's, I ended up deciding I didn't want to work at Trader Joe's. I never ended up working there, but it was a really good person that I talked to. And I remember like a lot of the things he said during that. So like she makes these connections, and she connects people that otherwise wouldn't normally talk to each other ever, possibly. So it's that in and of itself is absurdly valuable. And I remember she also prepares you with questions like, what did you do to get where you are today? What would you do differently? I feel like there's one more.
Well, that's good.
No, that's it. Okay. So yeah, that's just all great. So eventually I find what I want to do, right? I have an idea. I'm like, okay, I want to work with kids. I want to go back to school and get a psychology degree, maybe early childhood education, something in there. But I still have no idea how to accomplish that goal. I know where I want to be. I have a general idea of where I'm headed, but I have no idea what I'm going to do to get there. I'm not confident in my own ability to complete tasks, to complete a school application. My mother did my last school application before I got sober, so I hadn't actually ever done that before. And it was in meeting with her, like we do a schedule for every semester, and it's really important because I have a tendency to kind of just say, oh, I'll do it later, and just say, you know, I'll do it another time. And that is like, that's really dangerous for me, because then I end up just never doing it. And it can be something important, from like, you know, homework to, you know, going to a meeting, which is an important part of my like well-being and mental health. So for me, one thing I do, like right now, typically on Wednesdays, I would be at a meeting right now. However, Donna asked me to share, and of course I had to come support her. So I have another meeting tomorrow that I knew I had as a backup in case I ever missed this one. So now instead of going to the meeting tonight, I will go tomorrow. And it's just taking one thing and plugging it in somewhere else. And also I have it here with me. It's very beautiful and color coordinated, and she has amazing handwriting. And it makes me very happy. It's very aesthetically pleasing. So I think that is just like such a big difference in my life. I've never done that. I've never been a planner. I've never been an organizer. I've never thought further than what's 2 steps in front of me. And it's that, I would say, is probably the biggest single thing that I've learned from Donna. And I mean, amongst a million other things. Like another thing that I meant to mention is she's one thing that she taught me is to combat vagueness, how that's a very bad thing. And like that's kind of with the schedule, where I'll do it later. I don't really know when. And if I have everything in a plan and I know exactly when I'm going to do what, it's really helpful for me, because I've never had that skill. And I can fit so much into my schedule nowadays that honestly, like I wouldn't be able to do in a month, and I can do it in a week now. And that's nothing I've ever been able to do. So thank you all for listening. And thank you again, Donna and Beverly.
Thank you so much. That was so great. I'm going to say it again, James. What happens in vagueness stays in vagueness. Look at Adam's time chart. Oh, that's so funny. I forget the length, I mean, the amount of time charts I send out in the mail. I send them out like postcards. So we'll be talking and about formulating some sort of structure, because we began by formulating structure and building on structure, and we'll be talking about it. Then I'll whip up a postcard like that, and then a couple of days after we talk, they get in the mail. So it underscores what I've spoken about before. But the open-mindedness that you all just demonstrated was just so it's delicious. It's a wonderful way to go. The fact that you all have learned this. And here's the beauty. You have the objectivity to look at yourself from a distance and say, I'm doing this. I'm actually doing this, which is the, it's the resilience part. It's nurturing your own resilience. I hardly have to hold a mirror to you up to you anymore. So I wanted to say that, I only have a couple of more things, but I just wanted to underscore the fact that we started with a scaffold. When I first met you all, we started with a scaffold, and the scaffold consists of the basic things that we're required to do in order to stay sober and make some progress. And that includes everything from nutrition to meditation, a therapist, maybe a sponsor, definitely a case manager, working out, getting a night's sleep, all those things, and we build on them and strengthen them, because we all know that a person who's standing on a scaffold when the wind blows, if they have one not very tensile piece of it, we're going down. So the beginning of the structure and the carrying through of the structure is, you have helped me prove the point that that works and that this works. I'm so proud of you all. Beverly, thank you so much for having us. I can't hear you. You're muted.
I'm mute. Sorry about that. It's really wonderful to have you all here. It's an honor for us. This year we made our program Balm for All, so that it's for the entire family. And in the audience, we have family members, we have persons in recovery, who are also family members, of course. But they're often, the reason their families are here, when a person is newly sober, is it unusual for there to be a sense of lack of structure? And why is it so important to add structure?
Would one of you like to answer that? I'd be happy to, but would one of you like to answer that? Christian?
That wasn't.
I thought you volunteered. I have an idea if you don't.
You can go for it. I was.
No, I just think of us, and I'm talking across board of people who need recovery. I'm 31 years sober, and when I got sober, I was 46. And I had a structure because I went to work every day, and I had teenage children that I was the mother, but my life was unmanageable. My life was unmanageable, and I didn't know it at the time, but I had to move toward strict manageability. I didn't know where one thing ended and the other began, because I was concentrating so much on getting the substance I needed that I was neglecting. The I didn't know. I had to find out from my sponsors and other people in program that that's what was missing. But it became obvious, it becomes obvious after a while. And it's the thing mostly that I can connect with younger people about when we talk. I talk in cartoons, I talk in scaffolds, I talk in, going to meetings really close together so that you don't fall into the cracks. And I use the example of Peter Pan taking the little lost boys across the river. He goes to the place where the rocks, the boulders are close enough together so that when these little kids jump from boulder to boulder, they don't get eaten by the crocodile. And so by the same token in program, and you have to think ahead of what you're going to do to prevent yourself from using again. You have to. What is our defense against using? And it starts out with the structural acceptance of the structural, I think, acceptance of the discipline. my gosh, if I ever said those words to a newcomer, they would run out of the room. But I can tell you all, that's what it is. It's being willing to work on being disciplined.
Yes, makes a lot of sense. I have more questions, but I would like to let the audience know that there is a Q&A box on the bottom of your screen, and we'd love to have your questions, your thoughts. And there's a comment here. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say how inspiring and wonderful this was to watch. I'm beyond impressed with everyone on the panel, Donna and Christian, Adam and James, inspiring.
Wow.
When family members see our loved ones without structure and unable to handle day-to-day life, how can we support them? That's a great question.
Would someone like to answer that on my team?
Looks like
Sure.
Christian. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, first of all, sounds like somebody's mom was on this meeting or something, but anonymous. So I would have to say, I'm going to answer both. First, the structure is important because there's a large school of thought of work. Just get a job full-time, 40, 50 hours, get a second job. This is what you should be doing. Get into life, save money, do this, get a house right away, get a condo, get an apartment. And as a sober person, someone who was working prior and everything, it's not the same when you get sober. It's not. I mean, there's work and there's stress and there's recovery. And I mean recovery, like, you know, you sit there and you review your day in detail with honesty, and it can take a lot out of you, even if it only takes you 5 or 10 minutes to write it down, you know, and then you open yourself up to somebody giving you
Feedback.
and, you know, and then to use a word Donnie always uses, so then the next day you adjust and get flack from somebody in your life, whether it's somebody who's loving you, caring you. They don't know that what you're trying to say to them or not say to them or do or not do is for your safety as a person who doesn't want to die from this behavior that I have been done before. And it can take a lot. It's just so to recover. And 40 hours a week is a lot when when you're doing all, like I said, like in my shed, doing all the things I did, and then you work and then you get home and then, you know, and then you sit and deal with life. If you have kids or a wife or a girlfriend or your mom or your dad or your brother or whatever's going on or your boss. And, you know, there is no steam valve or no, I'm going to do whatever I want or I'm doing this for myself when it comes to using or drinking. And it's a lot on your nervous system to do things, even though it's healthy. And this amazing thing happens where like you're happier, or even when you're sad, you can appreciate it and feel the feelings in your body and be like, oh, this is usually where I would go use, but I'm just like noticing what's going on in my body, in my mind. So that's why the structure is a big deal. And what I would say is how to support someone. Well, if you're working with Donna, anyone who's trying to support someone, listen to Donna.
Well, you know, it's funny, Adam, what you said, because a question came up. Donna, can you speak to the work you do with the families of your clients and how you help them see the value of the time it takes to build this structure, basically the patience and trusting the process?
So that interesting. Thank you for pointing that out. I read it again myself and I saw the difference. And thank you, Adam. And thank you, Christian, for your contributions. My opportunity is not always with the family. It's not very often that I actually work directly. I work once a week with the client, but I don't work with their family. And my job is not the family at this point. My job is just enough to do to work with them. But how I encourage them to work. And it answers the other question too about gaps in the resume, is that we start out recognizing whatever we did positively that day and literally saying to ourselves, today I took the opportunity to make my bed. Today I took the opportunity to meet with a trainer. Today I took and we get used to using the language of opportunity so that when you have an opportunity to speak to your benefactors, to your family, you will recall and shine a light on the things that you're accomplishing just by talking about what you did. So instead of calling up a husband in a sober house and saying, so how's it going? You can say, what's new, or what did you get to do this week? 'Cause if the person is in tune to that, they can feed, and that doesn't mean manipulate, but to say, here's exactly what I'm doing. I'm working toward this. You can actually be objective enough to say, I'm doing certain things to work toward this, and I'm taking the opportunity to. And you get used to calling yourself on the positive things that you're doing. So that's the only way, except for actually demonstrating. If you're in the family's home, then you get to demonstrate how you're growing. But for me, it's always one-off. They're away from home, and demonstrating is difficult. So you have to always call the attention to that. I'm going to segue, if you don't mind, into that other question. And James, I'll call you in a sec. The other question was about gaps in the resume. And I will say, and quickly, that the COVID has really helped us, because we don't want to lie on a resume or lie or at all in a interview. So the idea of building a resume for us, meaning my constituency, is that we work on what's good about us, and we use it as a lure at the beginning of the resume in a thing called highlights of qualifications that really talks about things we're good at. For example, James was a risk manager when he was 18 years old as a lifeguard. And frankly, James left out one of the best parts, is when he went to interview to get a lifeguard job, the lady literally looked at his resume and said, risk manager, because he was 18 years old, And the fact is, his answer was, I have a battery in the bullhorn. I have a full first aid kit. And she hired him on the spot because he lured her into asking him the question about what he was saying about himself. And therefore, why worry about the gaps in the resume when you can manipulate the resume to call upon your strengths, so that when people are provoked to ask about these strengths, you control the questions they ask you. And also, it just, frankly, when someone says, so what did you do those 2 years? I say, that's where you use, I took the opportunity to, and you fill it in yourself. Step back and take a look at the direction my life was going. I took the opportunity to step back and rethink these things. So there's a whole resume prep that sets you up not to look the person in the eye. And to
that's amazing, Donna. And we are very big in not talking and not manipulating in the poem. But this sounds like one area where manipulation is well used. And, just really, we could say instead, sort of guiding the eye. You're bringing their attention to what it is you want to talk about.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yes. James, would you like to say something?
Yes, I would. And I think also a big part of that is for me, I myself didn't realize there were actually very many positives in that lifeguarding experience, right? Like, so not only did Donna teach me how to communicate that up to either the person I'm interviewing with, or, in my day-to-day life, communicating the positive things I'm doing to my parents, but also she helped me see that there were actually positive things I was doing myself. And, that goes a long way. I think about the lack of structure thing is like, I agree a lot with what Adam said about like taking the time to get recovery right and doing it the right way and spending I see a lot of people try and leave sober houses a little bit earlier than they should, maybe against some people's advice, and I think like if you do it the right way, you won't have to do it again.
Yeah.
Cross your fingers, knock on wood. But if you don't do it the right way and you cut corners and and you have 6 months that you can take and you only take 3 months, like that extra 3 months, it saved you 3 months then, but later on, odds are you might not actually be saving time that way. And so like I personally, I spent 4 years straight living in detoxes, rehabs, sober houses, and I see that 4 years as every single day of it was completely necessary for me to get where I am today. So yes, I definitely spent a lot of time in my room, lying down, sleeping in the middle of the day, doing nothing. But I think every part of that was me coming to terms with the decision I was making and, getting used to living that life, because it's a completely different life I was living. So it's like completely changing from one reality or one dimension to another. It takes time to make that switch, to make that change over. And I think rushing it can be a mistake. How to help someone who has a lack of structure, I don't have very good advice on that, but I know my experience.
Thank you so much, James. And somebody just asked for my information. Beverly, will you share that?
Yes, we will. What we'd like to invite you to do is, if you're interested in Donna's services, Donna is one of our in-house coaches, and you can contact support and we will connect you with Donna. So just support at familyrecoveryresources.com and we'll help you out there.
I thought there was actually another one of the questions that I might.
I think these are pretty, there's a question here about how does this go with keep your focus on yourself and off of your loved one will help you, how do you support the concept of structure action without violating that? I just can I make one comment from the Balm perspective? Keeping your focus on yourself and off of your loved one isn't about not being there, not being emotionally supportive. It's not about that at all. Not providing resources. I would imagine that some of you on this podium are there because there was someone in your life who cared enough to make the connection with Donna, whether it was a parent or the person in the rehab or whatever. Someone knew that would help you. You as a family member have a very big role to play in your loved one's life, but it's not about hovering, nagging, and harassing.
Ooh, good.
Which happens. Parents are scared. We get very scared. It's life and death here. So we invite the persons in recovery or considering recovery who might be watching this to understand that when a parent is over the edge, over the top in their behavior, it's not about you a lot of times, it's about their own fears. So in the Balm, we learn how to lower our inner temperature so that we can have a peaceful, calm approach, and how to do self-care, how to take care of ourselves. So that's the area where we're focusing on ourselves instead of, are you going to meetings? Are you doing this? Da, 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 da. Are you, the family member, going to meetings, doing your balming, meditating every day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. At the same time, you can make connections, find resources. The best thing is to work with your Balm coach to best figure out the best ways to do that, rather than just
so right.
diving in.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
You're so right. Fear is an evil thing.
It does
It's
hurt
tough.
life.
It does.
It does.
Yeah, it prevents us from moving forward. We get stuck in fear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. This has just been delightful.
So
would it be all right if I spoke to a little bit of what can you do to help in the recovery process?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I just one thing that came up, I want to echo a little bit of what Beverly said, but I also, I actually do work with parents a lot in my job. And it's something that I love to do and that I care a lot about. It's something that I saw my process, my journey in recovery has really been one of also seeing my own damage and being able to finally understand the damage that I've done. And I did that when I finally realized that I stole, peace of mind from my mother. When I finally realized not only the actual peace of mind, any kind of serenity that my mother had, but how much of my mother's mind I was taking up for such a long period of time, and her having absolutely no choice in that. And so a big piece of this has also been for me working with families. And there's something that I like to talk about with a lot of people, which it's something I call the fairness doctrine, which is something that I feel like I signed my name to a long time ago, that I am fully aware that life is not fair, but I still somehow have my name written on this document that says things are supposed to be fair. And my process inside of recovery has been a lot of taking one letter of my name off that document at a time, trying to get myself to a place, because it drove me crazy trying to both logically understanding that life isn't fair and yet demanding fairness from life. And one of the most unfair things in any aspect of this is that the work is not only done by the person who is actively recovering from drugs and alcohol. This is a family disease. This is something that we unfortunately all have to deal with. And it may feel like it's not my problem, it's their problem. Why do I have to do this? I promise you, if there is one thing that you can do for anybody and everybody in your life that is touched by this disease, especially the person that is directly involved with the drugs and the alcohol or anything else that may be the addictive piece of their life, is that you can do your own work. Because if you are able to come to them with your own lived experience, if you are able to come to them with not what did you do today, but here's what I did today, I promise you that you will have a much more productive conversation. I have a bunch of family members inside of this disease. I am not the only one in my family. It is all over the place. It is so much so that I am astonished that nobody ever talked to me about being an alcoholic when I was younger. But at the same time, I have to say, there's a reason that none of my family members live at the place that I work. None of them live in the sober living facility that I work at. And people are like, why? And I'm like, because I'd kill them. There would be no way. My brother is deep inside of this disease. And every time I go to talk to him, I think to myself, what would I say if he wasn't my brother? What would I say if it was just one of my clients? I come up with all these good things to say. And then I get to him and I say, you need to do this and you need to do that. And what the hell's going on? And and I'm yelling at him. I'm yelling at him and I'm demanding answers because I love him and I need him to be okay. I am codependent with my family. And it is a part of being a family member, I think, at a certain point. I think there's a reason that every single person that walks into Al-Anon needs to work on some amount of codependency. It's because it's ingrained in most of us. And with him, I need an answer. I need him to be okay, because if he's not okay, I feel like I'm not going to be okay. And I can't allow him to mess up. My clients, the only thing I know that works is making suggestions. And when they come to me with a dumb idea, saying, go for it. Let me know how it goes. Take pictures. Let's see what happens here. And then they come back. And then we can really start doing some work after the train has already crashed. But unfortunately, I can't stop the train crash most of the time. Most of the time, I do my best work when somebody has already crashed. And I'm like, did that feel good? No? Okay, let's try something different. And I can't do that with my family. I am way too close. So the one thing that I can offer to any of you who are dealing with your own family members and you're wondering what you can do to support them or what you can do, is that you can look at the fact acceptance is the answer to all my problems, right? And accepting the fact truly that life isn't fair, and that unfortunately, because my dumbass son did this, I have to go do work. is one of the hardest but most necessary choices that I've ever seen any family member make. It is so difficult, but it is also so worth it, because I promise you that the same kind of joy that you are hoping for in the loved ones that you are looking at is best encouraged by reflection, right? That it is best encouraged by them, by showing them, right? Anything that I do with any client of mine is usually done through example. And I think the same thing is true on the other side of it. I don't even begin to say that I completely understand what it is to be a parent or what it is to have to make those choices. But I will say that if you are looking how to support people, doing your own work is the best way to do it. And I can only say that because none of you are my clients, and I don't have to have this conversation for the next, 2 months. But what was saying?
Yeah.
Something I feel like I
Thank
wanted
you,
to.
Christian. Thank you so much.
I was interested in just echoing and providing testament for me, exactly how important it was to have a person like Christian, an intermediary between myself and my parents. I know that not everyone has that, and it's not all that common, but for me, it was extremely helpful to have someone to kind of, I would come to them with my immediate problems, and they would look at them, workshop them with a pretty objective view, then work with me on them, boil them down to what they really are, and then they would go and bring them to my parents, and it kind of got rid of the extra dirtiness, craziness of it.
Mm.
Beautiful. Yes.
I would
Yeah, a
say-
lot of times we have families where the family has a balm coach and the loved one has a balm
Yeah.
coach. In
Mhm.
fact, we encourage you, if your loved one family members gets involved with one of our balm coaches, including Donna, then you get a coach too, so that you have someone to talk to, they have someone to talk to, you're both doing your work, and at times you'll all come together and work. It's very powerful, very, very powerful. This is really a lifelong journey. And getting off to a strong start is so important.
that there's a lot of cliches that aren't cliches in recovery, and they all point to what Christian was saying and what James was saying and to what Beverly was saying. They tell you in like 12 step, if find someone who has what you want, and it isn't the car, it isn't the house, it isn't any of that. It's, wow, that guy's happy, or that person knows what they're doing, or they speak to people well outside of this little arena that we're in right here. How they act, how they walk. And a big part of it is, if you want what I have, do what I do. So, and to understand what I do, you have to do it.
Mm.
So if you really want to support them, do some kind of work yourself. But what I would say is a big part of that is, just like it's recommended to us, build a support in a community. So you can have your balm coach or whatever it is, but find some other people that are doing the same thing and talk to them. You want to know how to support your kids better, or your loved ones, then find other people that are successful doing it and share. Because I was asked one time, and this was really, really aggravating. Are you lying or are you delusional? So am I being dishonest or am I delusional about something? So either I'm lying to myself or I'm lying to you about something, or I'm delusional and I have no idea how crazy my idea of being right or what I'm doing is. And that's what a community or a group or support does. It allows us to see through the delusion. And then it's exciting to see the delusion. Like if you really do recovery and you're into it and you're spiritually trying to grow, oh my gosh, look at how much of an idiot I am, or look at how much of a jerk I am. Wow, this is an opportunity. And if that sounds strange, it's because you're probably not doing the things you should be doing if you want to support your loved one. And I would say find people that are doing well or with their supporting their loved ones that have addictions or are trying to change their life, and share your stuff with them, and go over that stuff with your coach or whatever this program is that they do. You need to bounce ideas off of other people, because otherwise it's just your ideas. And if you're unhappy with the way you're supporting or things are going, then how are you going to change your ideas? Because I can think all I want. I thought I didn't want to smoke crack for 5 years, but until I did something about it, I didn't stop smoking crack.
Mhm.
So
That's such a good
not gonna
point.
any-
That's such a good point. And that's why Al-Anon has meetings. That's why the Balm has support groups as well as classes and 7 steps.
Yeah.
We are really about community. Healing comes from community as well as from professional help. It's all very important. Thank you, Adam. So we're getting close to the end. Donna, is there something you'd like to say to pull this all together?
Oh my gosh. I would love to summarize. As I said before, I know I can reiterate my methodology, but it's really hard to summarize. But I think I keep these gentlemen have underscored over and over again the things that they've learned, and it's really all the coupling of their willingness to accept things the way they are. Acceptance is the answer to all our problems today. And their willingness to be open-minded about things, and the objectivity. I mean, when we are newly sober, we are in the shadow of our own fear, doubt, and insecurity. We are in there, and we really need to break free. And the only way we can begin believing in ourselves is to do esteemable work. So as soon as we get sober, we get started doing things, volunteering, reaching out to one another, and that may not seem like keeping the focus on ourselves, but in fact it is, because those things are what is going to build up the self-esteem and confidence to be able to go out in the world and pursue one's dreams. So I just want to say that there's tons of work to be done, and I love having you all on board. So thank you. I mean, all of you, the audience, thank you so much for being on board tonight.
Thank you, Donna. And someone asked that they have a daughter who is in outpatient, and the person is wondering if they practice the 12 steps. The way to find out most treatment centers, not all, provide opportunities for 12-step involvement. The best way to find out about your daughter's treatment center is to speak with them.
That's right.
And we have a couple more comments. Melissa says, Christian, you said exactly how I feel. Thank you for validating my feelings. And Suzanne says, thank you to all of you. What an incredible hour. That's a great way to end. Thank you all so much.
Welcome.
It's just been amazing. I've been looking forward to this for so long. And again, if you think that you or someone in your family would benefit from working with Donna, I know that right now she has 3 openings. So get in touch with me through support@familyrecoveryresources.com. Give your name, your email, your phone number, and Joan will connect us and we'll get you connected with Donna.
Right.
Just to let everybody know, this is Wednesday evening. Tomorrow is Thursday. On Thursday, we have a support group for the person in recovery, and that's at 7 p.m. And at 8 p.m., we have the 7 steps to be a loving mirror for family members. On Sunday, again, there will be the 7 steps to be a loving mirror. On Monday at 7, group for families, and at 8 p.m., 12 Balm principles for persons in recovery. Next Tuesday at 7, nothing at 7, at 8 p.m., we have the 12 principles for family members. And then next Wednesday, we'll see you back here. I also believe that the journaling class has been changed back to the mornings. Look for that on your weekly call list. Okay, everybody, thanks again for coming tonight. And remember, be a loving mirror. Good night, everybody.